And starting in a comfortable seated position, we'll close our eyes and we'll just begin to roll those shoulders in little circles, up and back and down. And then we'll go the other way. And one more. Good. And then inhale, we'll just lift those shoulders all the way up into the ears. Big exhale, drop them down. Feel the length in our neck, the ease in the shoulders. Good. And then feeling those sitting bones pressing into the ground. Nice tall spine. And then exhale, just move our chin over toward one shoulder. And then coming back around and then over to the other shoulder. And back to the center. And then with our breath, exhaling over to the side. And then inhaling back. And exhaling over to the other side. And inhaling back to the center one more time, each side. And then back to the center. And then inhale, let's just lift our noses up toward the sky. Drop the shoulders as we exhale, lower the chin down to our chest. Let our head be heavy. Opening up behind our necks. And then inhale, slowly bring that nose up toward the sky. And then exhale, lower the chin down. Keeping our chin down to our chest, we're just going to move our chin over toward one side. And then back to the center, keeping that chin low, bringing it around to the other side. Purposeful breaths here. Let those shoulders just drop away from our ears, lowering down to this ground. And then back to the center. Let's do that one more time each side. Exhaling, chin goes over to the side. And then back to the center. And then over to the other side. And then back to the center, and slowly we'll just roll that head back up to its home. Good. Inhale, lift the hands up high. Reaching the fingers, dropping the shoulders, breathing into our belly. And then exhale, we'll just tip our way over to the right. Right hand can find the floor, left hand reaches up and over. And then inhaling up. And then exhale over to the left, lowering that left hand down, pressing this right hip down into our mats, reaching the fingers away from the hip, stacking the shoulders. And then inhaling up. And now exhale, a little twist in the spine. So we'll turn our shoulders to the right. Our left hand can find that right thigh. Right hand finds the floor behind us. Lengthen on those inhales. Twist on the exhales. Trying not to force our body, but just encourage it into that twist. And then slowly we'll come back around to the center. On our next inhale, hands come up high. And then exhale, we'll just twist to the left. Right hand finds that left leg. Left hand is an extension to our spine, supporting it as we lengthen and twist. And slowly we'll come back to the center. And then we'll roll over our shins. Hands will find the floor and we'll come up onto our hands and our knees. Fingers are wide on our mats, pressing into the ground underneath of our shoulders. Knees are hip width apart. We'll just soften those feet underneath of us. Exhaling, rounding in the spine, lifting it up to the sky. And then inhaling, dropping the tummy and lifting the heart and the tail for our cow. Exhaling, cat. Inhaling, cow. Exhaling, cat. And inhaling, little arch, moving with our breath a couple more times. One more cat. And one more cow. And then back to that neutral spine again. Good. A little spinal balance here. So we'll inhale, reaching that right hand out in front of us, and we'll press the left heel back behind us. Toes are pointing down toward the ground to bring this left hip down to stay level with the right, reaching with the fingers, pressing with the heels, breathing into that tummy. And then exhaling down to our mat. Neutral spine here as we lift the left hand and the right foot. And back down. Right hand, left foot, reaching with the fingers, pressing with the heel. Good. And now let's break out to the side. We'll take the hand out to the right, the foot out to the left. If we don't have a lot of space, we can bend cactus arms and a little bent knee. And then back to the center, reaching nice and long. And then again, out to the side. And then reaching long. And then we'll lower that right hand down to the ground, and we'll keep this left leg nice and long, but lower the toes down to our mats, and we'll press the heel away for a little calf stretch here. Good. And then we'll lift those toes up again. And now we're going to step across over to the right with that left foot for a little hip stretch here. So hands are still underneath of our shoulders, and we're stepping back behind, and then we can take our gaze and look over that right shoulder to those toes to help out the hip a little bit more. And then we'll come back to our tabletop. Let's do a cat, rounding as we exhale. And inhale to a cow. And then back to our neutral spine, and move over to the left hand and the right foot, reaching with the fingers, pressing with the heels. Feeling the strength in our core as we break out to the side. Left hand goes out to the left, right foot goes out to the right. Still a good long spine, back to the center. And then out to the side again. And then back to the center. And now let's lower down that left hand. Keep that right leg nice and long. As we put the toes down to our mats, press the heel away for a calf stretch. Good. And then we'll lift those toes up, and we'll step all the way over that left foot to the left for the little hip stretch. Hands are still under our shoulders, and then we can peek over that left shoulder toward those toes. And then back to our tabletop. And again, let's do a cat and a cow. And then back to our neutral spine, and we'll bring our hips back for a child's pose. Arms can come out in front of us nice and long. Hips are low, chests are sinking down. We can release our head. Good. And then keeping our hips over our heels, let's walk those hands over to the side. And then back to the center. Let's take one full breath here. Sink those chests down. And then when we're ready, we'll walk the hands over to the left, reaching across the body with that right arm, sitting the hips down low. And then back to the center. Chest are staying low, hands are out in front of us. Let's press into those fingers and we'll slowly bring our noses nice and close to the floor as we bring the shoulders forward and scooping our way up into an upward facing dog. And then we'll drop the knees, press ourselves back to that child's pose. We're going to do that a couple more times. So keeping the chest and noses low, slowly bringing our shoulders forward and then scooping ourselves up into that back bend. And then dropping the knees back to our child's pose. One more time. Inhaling, slowly coming forward. Scooping our way up. Hips are still working forward, spine is working up. And then back to our child's pose. Pardon me while I call to my husband. Hey, John, come down. Good, let's inhale up to our little plank, bringing our shoulders over the hips, or over the shoulders over the wrists, hips come forward, nice long spine here, proud chest. And then just let those hips sink down a little bit. And then we'll bring that right foot forward into a lizard pose. So out to the outside of our right foot, or our right pinkies, sinking the hips down, bending that right knee so that it's over the ankle, lifting the heart. Good, and then slowly, we're just gonna walk our hands backwards, bringing our hips over the knee into our half split. So we'll point those right toes up to the sky. Hands can come to our thigh or to the shin if we've got a block, but we wanna hinge at the hips, bringing our chest forward toward those toes. Good, and then inhale, let's come forward into our lunge. And now exhale, we'll work our way back to that half split. We're just gonna move with our breath a few times. So exhaling back, inhaling, we'll come forward. Exhale, we'll go back. Inhaling forward. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. Let's go back one more time. Exhale, let's come back to that half split. Toes are pointing up to the sky. And then both hands can find a spot on the inside of that leg, and we're gonna walk our way around to the left, into a side lunge. So we'll press the outside of that right hip or foot down into our mat. Hips are over this left knee. Hands can find a spot on the floor, and then we can just slowly rock backwards, hips to the heel, and come forward and backward. And forward. Let's find our shoulders over the top of those ankle or wrists. I don't know why I'm having troubles with that today. Good. And now right here, what we're going to do is we are going to take the right hand, lift it up to the sky. And then exhale. We're just going to reach it through, thread the needle from here. Little multitask here. And then inhale, let's come back to the center, and then we'll walk our way around to the tops of our mat, back into our little lunge. And then stepping back to our child's pose. Let's take a breath here. We'll walk those fingers out in front of us. Inhale, let's come up to our little plank. Feel the length in our spine, pulling the shoulders back and down. And then we'll bring that left foot forward to the outside of that left hand into lizard pose from here. Wiggle our way into it, see where we're at. Good, and exhale, let's walk our way back for our half split on this side. Again, hands can come to the thigh. We can walk it down a little bit further to the shin. Fingertips to our mat. Chests are still working toward those toes. Activate the quad, which will help get that hamstring a little bit better too. So making the top work will help lengthen the back. Good, and then inhale, let's come forward. And now with our breath, exhale, going back, little split. Inhale, coming forward, little lunge. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. And back. And forward. And now one more time, let's go on back. Turn around. And then from here, we're going to bring that left hand to the inside of the leg and walk our way around to the right for that side lunge. So swooping the right foot back behind us, pressing the outside edge of that left foot into our mat. Hands are on the mat, on the floor, and then exhale. We'll just bring those hips back toward the heel. And then inhale, we'll come up. And exhale back. And inhale up. One more time back. And up. Bring that hip over our knee. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. And now left hand comes up to the sky. And then exhale, we're just going to thread the needle through. And then unwinding, finding our hands on the floor. We'll walk our way back around to the top of our mat into our little lunge. And we'll step back into our child's pose from here. Butts are low toward those heels. And then our knees can be close together or they can be nice and wide, depending on what we want to achieve out of our child's pose. If they're wide, we're going to work more into the hips. If they're close together, we're going to round in that back and maybe open up that low back. It just depends on what we need right now. Good. And now let's walk those knees together if they are not already there. We'll tuck the toes underneath of our butts and then slowly walk those hands backwards and we'll come up to a tall seated position, but we're a little bit on our toes, opening up in those arches, helping the toes stretch out a little bit, and then begin to tuck the tail just a tiny bit, and we'll start to feel a little quad stretch even. Good. And then hands will come back down to the floor. We'll soften the feet. Hips will come back to our heels. And again, we're going to lean back just a little bit, tuck that tail. And now we can use our hands to steady ourselves as we lift the knees. And now we're going to get the tops of our feet. We would like, we can try and balance, placing our hands on our thighs or reaching out in front. Kind of a modified boat, I don't know. And then we can slowly lower those knees down, hands find the floor again, all the way out in front of us. And let's tuck those toes again. Hands are on the floor right out in front of us, pressing down into each little finger. And now let's lift those hips up for a downward facing dog and pedal the feet once we get those hips up, pressing into the floor with those hands, pulling the shoulders away from the wrists. Inhale, lift both heels up to the sky, pulling the shoulders back, and then exhale, let's begin to press those heels down in toward, in the general vicinity of our mats. And we'll lift up our right leg. We'll bring the knee into our chest. We'll shift our weight forward and we'll place that knee behind our right wrist for a pigeon. Keeping that right foot flexed. We'll walk the left foot back behind us and soften. Take a couple of breaths, making sure that we're getting our hips both even and level, so we don't want to be sitting down onto one hip or the other.
And then if we would like, we can even walk our hands forward, lower ourselves down either onto our elbows or down to a fold. Inhale, let's bring those hands back underneath of our shoulders. Press into the hands, tuck that left toe back behind us. We'll step back for our downward facing dog again. Again, pedal it out. We can wiggle our tail a little bit. Settle into that down dog again. Think about nice long back, strong shoulders, high hips. And then we'll lift up the left leg, reaching it back behind us. And then we'll bring that knee into our chest, shift our weight forward, and set ourselves up for pigeon on this side. Left knee comes behind the left wrist, flexing that foot. And then adjusting our hips. We'll settle in during the next couple of breaths. And then if we would like, we can walk those hands forward, come down into a fold. And then we'll slowly help ourselves back up to our hands. We'll tuck that right foot back behind us and we'll step back for a downward facing dog. Pedaling it out again, waggling our tail. Settling into our down dog. Shoulders are strong and pulling back towards our butt. Fingers are strong into our mats, gently lengthening in the backs of our legs. And now let's slowly walk those hands backwards towards our feet. We'll find ourselves into a forward fold here. Hands can find the mat if we would like, or our toes. We can even just hold on to our elbows and hang. Good. And then we'll bend our knees so that our hands can find our mats. We'll walk our way forward enough so that our knees can find the mat. We'll swoop those feet over to one side and we'll come down onto our bottoms. Feet will come out in front of us. Legs are nice and long here. And then we'll tuck this right foot in to our left thigh. Have a nice long left leg. We'll turn so that we're facing this left leg and we'll fold forward again. Using those breaths, we lengthen on the inhale. We deepen our fold on the exhale. And then we'll slowly help ourselves back up to the top. Another little twist here. We'll walk our way around to the right. Very similar to what we did at the beginning of our practice. The left hand will find the thigh. Right hand finds the floor behind us. Inhale nice and tall. Exhale, we twist. Begin to look over that right shoulder. And then back around to the center. Bringing both legs out in front of us. And a little fold here, walking our hands down. Chests are working forward toward those toes or the shins. Should feel our bellies pressing in towards our thighs. And then inhale, we'll come up. And then tucking that left foot in toward the right thigh. Finding our sitting bones, and we'll turn and center ourselves over this right leg. Nice and tall. And then exhale, folding forward. We can either reach up high and make a rainbow, or walking our way down. We've got a strap or a towel. Just encouraging that chest to come forward so that we can keep our back relatively straight. The more we hinge at the hips instead of rounding in the back, we're going to get deeper into that hamstring. And then we'll walk our way back up to the top. And then around to the left for a little twist. Nice tall spine on those inhales. As we soften on the exhales, turning to the left, beginning to look over that left shoulder. And then coming back to the center,
We'll bring both feet down onto our mats with a bent knee. Good. And then we'll roll up into our ball, and we get to rock back onto our backs. And then we'll find our way onto our backs. Knees are in our chest, rolling up into that little egg. And we'll release the arms down to the mat. Knees are still bent here, finding a nice spot for our shoulders, feeling our entire spine pressing into the mat. Inhale here, and then exhale. We'll just lower those knees over to the left. We'll bring our gaze to the right, toward those right fingers. Now we get to just let gravity do the work. Feeling with every breath those legs getting heavier and heavier. Good. And then we'll come back to the center. Feet find the floor right up here by our butts. Hands come down toward our hips. Still palms up though, we don't want to press. And then inhale, let's come up into a little bridge. So lengthen in the front of our hips. A little arch to our back. And then slowly we'll lower down. Bring those knees into our chest. We'll release our arms and our shoulders down to the mat. Knees stay bent above us. Big inhale here. And then exhale, we'll take those knees over to the right. Our shoulders and arms just rest on our mats or on the ground. We can bring our gaze over to the left. Stay here for a couple more breaths.
Bring those knees back to the center. We'll place our feet on the ground right by our butts. Arms can come down by our hips. Pull the shoulders underneath, tuck the tail. Inhale, let's lift those hips up into a bridge. And then exhale, lowering back down. Bring those knees into our chest, roll up into our ball. And then we'll open the knees nice and wide, elbows come to the inside, holding the pinky toe sides of our feet. And we'll just lower those shoulders and head back down into the ground, lower our tail, and then pulling those feet down for dead bug. And then we'll release the feet one last time, coming back into our egg, holding those knees nice and tight into our bodies, tucking our chin. Take one more deep inhale here. And then exhale, release, and we'll come down into our Shavasana. Legs can come out long, arms relax to our sides, palms up. We close our eyes. We soften in our face and in our jaw. And we allow ourselves this time to just be still. Allow our bodies to do what it needs to do, to rest and to heal. We begin to deepen our breath. Slowly wiggle our fingers and our toes. Come back into our space. And then when we're ready, we'll bring those knees into our chest. We'll roll over onto our side. And we'll help ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Inhale, lifting our hands up to the sky, bringing them together at the top. Exhaling them down to our hearts with gratitude. Being thankful to us for all of the gifts that we just gave ourselves. And I am also so grateful for you, for joining me today, for allowing me to help you through your practice, for sharing your practice with me, and allowing me to be a part of your day. I wish you all a happy, happy rest of your day, a great finale to your week. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.